Welcome, Sena, to the BWP Microseries.
Thank you.
Sena, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Sena Siaw-Boateng Akufo. I grew up in a very loving family home, strict Catholic upbringing, and went to Achimota Preparatory School, continued to Achimota Secondary School, did my A-level at the Ula Secondary School because I had to go to a Catholic school by my mom's prescription. So thereafter, I did my national service, which I thought was tough, at the Kotobabi JSS. I had to teach French, and the boys were bigger than me.
Wow.
But I took it in my stride and made sure I didn't punish anyone because they would ambush me when I was going back home.
Wow.
It was interesting. And from there, I entered the University of Ghana, Legon, and started off with linguistics, French and Spanish languages. Then I majored in linguistics and French major. From University of Ghana, Legon, whilst I was in school, I was very active with the United Nations. So I rose from being a member of the Ghana United Nations and Students Union to become an executive member of the association. I rose to the high level of national treasurer, having played several roles at the secondary school level. And I was president of the association when I was in sixth form in my school, Bula. So during national service and thereafter, I did a lot of advocacy work with the UN agencies because of my affiliation with the United Nations organizations in general. So USAID in particular, and then the UNFPA, they took active interest in my work and therefore always invited me when we had these global conferences. So through my activities, I attended the Beijing Conference on Women. I was the youth delegate from Ghana. I presented papers in Beijing, and I was privileged to be with the then First Lady, Nana Kunedo-Rollins, and the delegation. I think we did a good job at that conference. Coming back, I had to also present papers on behalf of the youth, and that is where I met Dr. Chambers, who I introduced at a function where he attended with Dr. Obeda Samoa. They asked me, young lady, where are you working? And I said, oh, I'm just doing my voluntary work. And they said, have you applied to join our ministry? And I said, I thought of it, but the research department, that's where my application went. They said, bring your application to our place as well. But I put it in and forgot about it. 3 years later, I was working in Ethiopia, doing some work for UNFPA. And on my way through Accra to Cameroon, I was informed that there was a brown envelope letter. And when I opened it, I had to go for orientation or an interview. Yes, an interview. And here I am at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Wow.
So I have done 17 years and counting. I have risen through the ranks of the ministry. I've enjoyed my work here. Did my postings in Cuba, London, and Spain, Madrid. I'm now the director at the Africa Regional Integration Bureau.
Wow. And from what I hear, it's one of the busiest.
One of the busiest bureaus in the ministry.
Interesting. What would you say in your childhood, or what lessons did you learn that have allowed you to be this dynamic, diverse, and because I noticed that you have some very good work ethic, and where did you build this along the way?
Very good question, Papa, because I grew up in a home where we were all girls. I only have siblings, female siblings, and my dad was strict. You can imagine that. Probably he was liberally strict, and by way of keeping us at home all the time. He kept us busy. I can tell you my schedule from when I was like 6 years old or growing up. On Mondays, I had ballet at Ghana International School. Tuesdays, I had catechism at Christ the King School. Wednesdays, I had Girls Guide. Thursdays, what did we do? There was some activity in school, extracurricular activities in school. Fridays, we were free. Saturday mornings, we were at the African department, the Institute of African Studies, studying how to play one instrument or the other. So you can see that every day of the week, he made sure we had something doing. And so I grew up learning how to multitask. You would be doing one thing but concentrating on another whilst your focus was on another thing. And it was interesting because from a very early age, I learned how to do several things at the same time whilst keeping your eye on the ball all the time, no matter how many things you were doing.
And it didn't kill you, did it?
It didn't kill me. All I used to grumble, especially Saturday mornings when I had to go to the Department of African Studies to learn an instrument. So I learned the drums. My sister learned the sax. My kid sister, I don't remember what she did. I don't think she really got out of it. But I learned how to play the drums, and by the result of that, I used to play the drums at church for the youth choir. But I haven't been doing that in a long time. But I still have a drum set at home,
Wonderful.
which I play occasionally.
Interesting.
Yes.
Do you have any children?
I have 2 boys, very interesting children. I have brought them up to be very assertive and independent. One is 14 and the other is 12. They are the British International School at East Legon.
I know that there are a few challenges as a woman, lady, rising through your career, especially when you get to very high offices like that. What are some of the challenges that you think have been in your way as you have risen through your career, and what are some of your biggest highlights?
Growing up, I wouldn't say that I was, if I compare myself to my sisters, I wouldn't say that I was exceptionally intelligent, because I used to see them, they used to receive prizes every year in school. I only received a prize once, and that was, I think, class 4. So I saw myself as somebody who had to do more and better all the time. And I think that's what has helped me, and even to overcome challenges. Talking about challenges, growing up, number one, you're a female. Whatever you do, you have to do it 2 times better. Right now things have changed, but going to the Beijing conference and coming back, I saw the role of a woman in a different perspective. Now I looked at a woman with a different eye, because there is a lot you have to do to be recognized. There is a lot you have to do not to be labeled as having gotten what you did get by either being favored or because you are somebody's daughter or whatever it is. Men just are credited for what they do. But there's always a but.
There's always something.
There's always something, which I really don't agree with and never will agree with. Mm-hmm. We work hard. Women work hard. Mm-hmm. Now, challenges. You cannot, growing up, you could not stay out later than boys would normally stay out, if even you were not doing anything wrong. Because working with in the NGO sector, as I told you, I did a lot of volunteer jobs. It entailed having to stay out later. But you know, my dad had his strict orders, you have to be at home at 8 p.m. because the gate will be shut and padlocked. So sometimes you have to cut short your activities whilst your other friends, male friends, are still out there in the field doing what we have to do. Those were some of the challenges. And then on the job, you would work hard, but somebody would say, well, because she is a lady and she's being favored, the boss is a male, And I found that very unfortunate. You can never be credited for the work that you put in, for the innovation that you bring onto the job. It's always something else. The primary issues that you would expect somebody to focus on to credit your work will become the secondary issue, and rather look at a relationship as being the reason why you are where you are. It's unfortunate. Also, you should be able as a woman to balance your work and home. And that's one thing I'd learned from my mom. Although she was a very busy woman, she was a nurse midwife and also a pharmaceutical rep for a German company. So it involved a lot of travel and movement. And she was very active in church. But all said and done, she kept an eye on us at home. She kept the home running. She was always doing her TV programs with GBC, which involved her waking up very early, going to the studio to do her recording. But by the time she would be leaving home by dawn, she would make sure that everything, looking back now, I was like, wow, how did she do it? She made sure everything was in place. We would be in school on time. We would be picked up on time. We would do our homework. We would be in bed early. And we were neat all the time. These are attributes that, you take for granted. But it takes a lot of effort to get that going. And I learned that from my mom, and I'm doing the same. And I hope I succeed. I'm still learning anyway.
Wow. Now I know of, and this is more advice to the ladies out there, young ladies who are looking to have prominent careers like yourself. I've had personal conversations with you about some of the differences, and even when I look at the way you dress, the way you comport yourself, the way you hold it, I try to picture. Was Sena always like this, or is it that these days our females are a little different? I don't know. What type of advice would you give any of our young, upcoming ladies in Ghana to A, thrive in their careers, and B, thrive just as a woman, to earn the type of respect that you've managed to earn in the area that you are as a person and as a career, as a foreign service officer?
Okay. Number one, again, growing up, I think I was a tomboy. I was very boyish. And I always used to dress like a boy. I'll tell you that until I joined this ministry, I didn't own a skirt.
Wow.
Until I joined this ministry, I don't think I had a slit and cupboard as we would wear now. But I learned a lot of things here because good grooming and dressing up was part of the training when we joined. But before that, because as a youth delegate, I traveled a lot, and in conferences you have to play your part and appear, very neat and serious. I learned a lot of my dressing and comportment also as a youth delegate, growing up and being in different conferences at the same time. Because sometimes I'll be around a table with, let's say, 20 adults. I'll be the only youth amongst them. And you'll see them all impeccably dressed. And how would I be sitting there? You are representing the youth, and you have to represent properly and give a very good image of the youth and yourself. So I learned a lot of comportment, dressing, and courtesy out of my engagement with the older people growing up. I would like to advise, again, another part of me is I'm part of a foundation where we put our salary, about 2% of our salaries aside, and take care of in-school youth. You'll be surprised in the urban areas too. We have children who fall out of school, secondary level. I'm happy to say that we've been able to take 2 girls out of Accra girls. They were at home, but we went home, spoke to their parents, brought them back to school because of school fees. They just couldn't afford the fees.
Wow.
And Rejoice finished with a 2nd class upper, and the other lady what's her name? Jemima finished with a first class
Wow.
from Legon last 2 years ago.
Wow.
And then we had 2 boys too in tech, from Aquinas to tech, and he finished with a first class from tech as well. So
Interesting.
my other side, we do a lot of advocacy for the youth.
Interesting.
We do a lot of voluntary work for the youth because I believe in the youth. To get something going seriously, but whether from your home, from the workplace, in the country, in the world, you need to look at the youth. Because they are always, in anything you do, you should look ahead. You should look at the future. And the youth are the future. So for me, they are the best people we should always interact with and believe in. The youth have a lot to offer, but probably they are not given opportunities as I was given. And also the youth should find the opportunities. You don't just sit down, laid back and think that things will come to you. Find the opportunities, focus on the opportunities, and work hard on those opportunities. And I believe that they will get things going. Another thing the youth must learn to do is to respect all ensemble. I mean, whether you're young or old, you must keep some level of respect for everybody in this world. And you'll succeed in life that way.
Wow. Words of wisdom. Thanks a lot, Sena, for joining us today on the BWP series, and we hope we can interact again.
Thank
Thank you very much.
I've enjoyed speaking to you.
Thank you.
All right.